Okay, I think you're
So
ready.
you ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay. So, our chair Nancy is at home babysitting because her daughter-in-law just had a baby and she has a 2-year-old to watch. So I'm Mary Nan, so I'm the vice chair, so I get to run the meeting. And so I have my directions. We are supposed to make announcements. That was the announcement. And, if there's any housekeeping items, the bathroom is through the door. So I think that's all I need to do in terms of logistics. But community briefings now. So we have THPRD here, we have the sheriff's office, we have a fireman. So who wants to start?
And water's online.
Water's online, okay. Okay. Okay.
So Sergeant Prince is on Zoom, but I'm just gonna give a few quick announcements and then I'll pass it off to him to talk about calls for service in the area. So we are currently recruiting for reserves. So if anyone has ever had any interest in volunteering with the sheriff's office as a reserve deputy, this is an opportunity you'll go out with deputies, you receive training, you go with your sworn deputy, we do different things like events and sometimes go on calls with them. It's essentially an opportunity to be involved as a deputy, but not as a full-time job. So if you want more information, we have a couple of question and answer sessions coming up. So there's information on the back table about that. Yeah.
Do you still provide the offering of letting people do a ride along with
Yes.
the deputy?
Yes, we do.
So, but you don't have to sign up to be a volunteer. You can
No.
just do it.
Yeah, so you can, so we do offer ride-alongs. You can email me and I can send you the information, or you can go on our website. There's an application on our website to have that opportunity.
What's the minimum age?
I'm 18. Sergeant Prince is 18, correct?
I apologize. What was the question? I didn't hear that part.
For ride-alongs, you need to be 18, correct?
I believe so, yes, unless it's like a family member, then it can be.
That was the assumption, yeah, so. Couple other announcements, our search and rescue program is also going to be recruiting, so this is for those under 18. If you know a teenager 14 to 17 who's interested in being trained as a search and rescue cadet, they will do things like search for evidence, search for missing people. They go through a highly intensive training process and they learn a lot of valuable life skills. So if you have one of those high achieving teenagers in your life that you think would be interested, we're happy to get you more information. That recruitment is going to be going live here shortly. So if you're watching our website, I didn't want you all to miss that announcement, but it'll probably be getting on our website within the next few days.
How many weeks or months?
So the search and rescue training or the recruitment.
Sessions.
Yeah, so the training itself, the applications start and then they close in April, and then they have a very long process, but then they also have a 2-week training camp that they go to in the summer. And then they can be part of the search and rescue program until they're 21, I believe. Lastly, our community academy will be coming back. So that is going, the application for that will be hitting our website here soon as well. That is going to be open for about a month. So again, I wanted to let you know because it'll be popping up and I didn't want to miss it. So the Community Academy, if you've ever had an interest in learning about all of the different aspects of the sheriff's office and what we do, meeting with our dispatch, as well as learning about canine search and rescue, touring the jail, all those different components, then you can register to be a part of that as well. And then with that, I'll hand it to Sergeant Prince. We have the calls for service map on the back of the table if you prefer, or I can put it on the screen for you as well. But Sergeant Prince can talk to you about what he's been seeing in the area.
Yeah. Yep. Go ahead.
have to see him on the screen if I'm going to talk to him, unfortunately. All right. So I apologize first off for not being able to get there. It's been a busy night out on the road today, and the closest I could get was the coastal farm and ranch store here in Cornelius. So does anyone have any questions about this? I know we've gone over it quite a few times. It's broken down into certain categories of call types.
I'm just, I didn't really look at this way, but is this just the last 12 months? Is it comparative year over year? If it is, then can you just give us indication of trends or what you're seeing, or good news, bad news, neutral news?
So this
So
is the past year. And then do you want to talk about trends?
I couldn't fully hear what he was saying. It's really faint for me on my side.
So he's asking if you could discuss any trends that you're seeing and kind of the comparison of over time, if anything is changing.
So it's hard to say. We're coming out of the COVID years where we had a lot more property crimes and things like that. Property crimes remain high, but since we have reinforced making drugs illegal again, we're starting to see a little more traction on getting the property crimes down. And that's just because the overwhelming majority of property crimes are committed by drug users. So as we start getting some of those people arrested and hopefully into treatment, you'll see those numbers continue to decline. As for currently right now, I mean, the biggest thing of the reports that I read, it's still just the online fraud. So many people are just getting taken by various types of fraud that they get either over the internet or by phone. And unfortunately, people are giving away tens of thousands of dollars sometimes. So it's a problem that's hard to solve because the majority of it's overseas. And we've written warrants on them in the past, but the problem with law enforcement is we don't really investigate most of those anymore because they come up with dead leads or they come up with suspects that are foreign. So unfortunately, it's going to be on the FBI to shut these things down, or at least be doing partnerships with other countries to get this stuff taken care of. So that's really what I've been seeing the most crime-wise recently.
Question you can repeat it.
Yeah.
Curious on traffic, and during COVID in particular, right? People were rolling through stop signs more aggressively or not being stop signs, and I mean, this seemed like a lot of more bad driving. And I don't know if it's drivers or it's less, they got used to not having as much patrol around, and I don't know, just seems if there's an opinion of what they're doing relative to speeding and basic traffic.
Even in neighborhoods, not just so much the main streets, but in neighborhoods.
Did you hear that?
Stopping at stop sign.
I think I was getting that. Just so I'm making sure that the question is what's going on with traffic enforcement.
Yeah, basically.
So we currently have a traffic team. I kind of talked about this last meeting. The sheriff's office patrol division is running very lean right now. We do have quite a few openings that we're trying to fill. It's a nationwide problem, and unfortunately, it's going to take us quite a long time to get it up. So what you're seeing right now is, at least on the swing shift, which is a shift that I work currently, most hands on deck are just busy taking all the priority calls that come out, and they don't have a lot of free time for traffic. Again, we do have that dedicated traffic unit that's out there. They are working, to the bone, but I think possibly what you're seeing, and this isn't substantiated by numbers, it's just my own opinion, is that we don't have as many people out there that can do traffic enforcement. So maybe you're seeing a little more violations based off of that.
On the map, you have a very dark area. It looks like it's, I don't know, is it Terraland and the Bower Crest area? Or is that below that? I was surprised to see the darker areas right in that.
This area here,
What is that saying, higher instances of issues?
higher call volume.
And are we talking about Terra Linda on the left? and the Bower Crest area on the right, or what is that area? Red
So,
dot as well.
yeah, so those red blots, the darker areas on the map, Sergeant Prince, those are shopping malls, correct?
It's really small on my screen. I'm looking at the map here. Judging
Yeah, that.
where that is, that's all like the Target area.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
And Target is unfortunately a very high call producing location. So that's probably why you're seeing on the heat map, there's a lot more calls happening in that area. And then there's also, I'm guessing from, again, the map is really zoomed out here. I'm thinking that that's probably one of the apartment complexes that we have. That's south of that market of choice area. That is also a high call volume location. So that probably explains the stuff that's kind of more to the east there.
Online.
You can email me and I can send it directly to you, or we have copies of the map.
Oh.
Virginia has her hand up.
Virginia, do you have a question?
Yeah, I wonder, you said it's a nationwide problem. Is there anything that the Washington County Commission can do? Should we be talking to our commissioners about the situation that causes very little traffic enforcement?
No, because unfortunately I do feel that we have the backing of the commissioners and things like that. It's just that we aren't getting enough candidates through the door to fill our positions. So I don't think it's something that you can throw money at. This is just my personal opinion talking here, but after the, years ago, we had the George Floyd situation where law enforcement took a very big hit morale wise. And in my personal opinion, we lost an entire generation of candidates because the media was on a rampage to prove that, we're all out there doing bad things instead of doing the good work that we do. So personal opinion is that we're dealing with a lot of that fallout and we lost an entire generation of recruits.
Too bad.
Any other questions? I'll be hanging around in the back, so if you think of something, feel free to just come and ask me, and I can always pass questions on to Sergeant Price as well.
Thank you, Megan. Chelsea, are you ready or you want to wait for Nicole?
Yeah, I'm ready. Okay, yeah, I will just pull up a seat right here, because I have several updates, and that way I'm closer to the speaker. So nice to meet you all, my name is Chelsea Nykerk, and I went to THPRD, and I recently joined as their community engagement specialist. So I'll be with CPO7 and also in joint meetings, as long as they're joint, for as long as they continue. And so I had quite a few updates for us. So starting with spring registration that opens Saturday, February 22nd at 8 a.m. for in-district residents and opens on Monday, February 24th for out-of-district residents. We also have the February Beaverton School District donation drive where we're collecting new undergarments and hygiene products for Beaverton School District families in need. And so there's several donation bins located at the Cedar Hill Rec Center and also at the Conestoga Rec and Aquatic Center as well, for those who have items that they'd like to drop off. And also our 2025-2026 preschool open house registration is going to be opening soon. Registration for new families will open on Thursday, February 6th, 9 a.m. And from February 8th through March 1st, our middle school track and field clinic will be open, and this is a great opportunity for young athletes to prepare for the upcoming track season hosted by Cedar Hills Recreation Center. And we also have the spring native plant sale, and online ordering will begin on March 2nd, and plants will be available for pickup at the 12 Hills Nature Park Center on May 9th or May 10th. And you can order the plants through Sparrowhawk Native Plants. Another activity that we have that's ongoing is that THPRD is always recruiting volunteers to help out with the number of upcoming events. These events can focus on a wide range of activities like habitat restoration, garden work parties, special events, and community celebrations. And so you can find details about these opportunities on the THPRD calendar and also links for these other activities as well on our website. Another update that we have to share is that tax aid volunteer opportunities through AARP are available at the Stewart Center. And these are current and ongoing opportunities that are welcome for all adults to join. Another update is registration will be open for our U.S. Tennis Association leagues for our spring leagues. It's currently open right now. And we also have let's see. Our spring adult volleyball registration will open on February 12th at the Tualatin Hills Aquatics or Tualatin Hills Athletic Center. And we have several weight training classes, Middle Eastern cooking classes, and other special programs and activities that you can register for, like those that I mentioned on our website as well. And all of these events you can find on our event webpage.
Cooking.
Cooking, yeah. We have a Middle Eastern cooking class, and I think it might be ongoing right now, an Indian cooking class as well.
When did you say that, hygiene collection is for the kids?
Yes, the hygiene collection is ongoing right now, and the donation bins are located at the Cedar Hill Rec Center and also our Conestoga Rec and Aquatic Center.
Virginia has a question.
Virginia?
There are 3 large parcels that the Park District owns up in our area here. The Northeast Park, the former Findlay property, and the property at Saltzman and Thompson. And we'd always been told that they'd get developed when there were more in-district residents around them, but there's been a lot of development going on. Who should we talk to find out what the status is on those? I know you probably don't, maybe you know something, but is it the board or development or what?
Yeah, we have parks and development staff assigned for each district, basically, or each specific areas. So what I can do is find out who that is and let Mary know.
You can actually send an email to both CPO1 leaders@gmail.com and CPO7 leaders@gmail.com. And both Virginia and I will get information that way.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Jesse.
Oh, well, I've been in contact with THRPD already, but, I had a question. I don't know if this question has been specifically answered. And I was invited to meet with, some staff, but, I want to learn more about THRPD's board policy around, commenting on, development projects that impact THRPD property, like the one that's happening in CPO7. And we recently had there was a comment period for a development permit, and there's already flooding in that area on THRPD property. And that development has a lot of ability, it has a capability of increasing the flooding in that area. No comment was made by THRPD. So I kind of want to know, like, when the board and or THRPD staff comments on things like that.
I will look into that for us and we'll circle back.
Now there's a turtle habitat development right? On Laidlaw, below Laidlaw. And it says it said at THRP, it said it was a turtle.
Put the log down.
Well, the logs down, is that something that's gonna come to fruition soon? It's kind of sitting there, I don't see any water being released or.
Is that on Laidlaw?
On the left side of Laidlaw is THRP property.
Yeah, it's my understanding, in fact, there's actually an application, a copy of an application at the Bethany Library on the CPO7 shelf that explains, what was done. But the plan is historically, the creek overflowed into that area. And so what they're trying to do is set it up so the creek naturally overflows into that area. So
You
it's
know
gonna
when we start seeing that, I guess that's my question, is that there a time?
We need rain. We need rain.
So it's still been, spring, we'll see it.
Yeah, I think that's
More rain.
Is that, I always thought that property was owned by the Red House.
they sold to the park district. Yeah, yeah.
Being restored.
Yeah.
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 And it was purchased with natural resource dollars, and so it's going to be a natural area. It's
Are
not
they
gonna be.
adding turtles, or are there turtles they think will just kind of arrive? And this is great,
I'm so excited. The bird's gonna climb in. I don't know what the plan is.
I can look at the project development timeline
Okay.
and see where we're at.
And potentially we could have a future meeting on that topic.
We don't have rain there now, we're not gonna have rain starting in May, so.
Well, but it's been kind of an odd year, so. Right.
Are you collaborating with any partners on the cooking classes?
That's a great question. I know some of these classes, we worked with our community partners to help develop. For this specific one, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But it might be in our activity program guide.
Okay, we need to move along because we've got the fire department wants to do a presentation.
Hello, everyone.
Water after fire.
Came a long ways from across the way here. So I have a couple things to pass out here to brief you all. Just to monitor Thank you for it first.
Yeah.
So I know you guys have a busy agenda tonight with your the emergency preparedness. Is that what I'm understanding? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Just like the sheriff's office, any questions? We've been super busy. Like everyone else, like the little flyer that I just sent out. I think it's on its way around. So this is 2023 data. For our district, we had almost 60,000 incidents. Kind of breaks it down there in the calendar year. So we did over 747 community events in 2024. Had over almost 58,000 attendees. Community events as far as CPR, you name it. Just trying to get out in the public. Bottom right, our inspection department did over 7,800 commercial inspections in 2024. So just kind of a little fun fact sheet for you all to kind of summarize. The other two pieces that you have are the furnace. We just had a fire on Friday night. Furnace related. So I'm not going to go over just some good information as far as furnace, wood stoves, keeping things clean. Carbon monoxide is another one this time of year when heating. People are heating a lot in their homes. And then not to give anybody flashbacks from last year, but winter storm, a little bit of fun fact on that. Thankfully, we haven't had a rekindle from last year. So any questions for me? I know I want to try to keep it short because I tend to talk too much. So
I will just add, we have a friend who works with the Red Cross, and they have a program for fire alarms for every room in the house. And he came out and did new 10-year battery, fire alarms. So this is it's for anybody's interest, it's free of charge for getting your whole house situated in that fire alarms. We did one electronic one that was in the house 30 years ago, and the sensor starts going out. So
Even though it's like, there's two different types of detectors. One's battery only, one's battery and power. Even power, all of them are usually a shelf life of 10 years. So, and then until we get rid of the time change, that's kind of been the one where we always remember people to check their smoke detectors. So, but that's a good point. One thing that's often kind of missed, but like. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
So is the CPO, is it the Red Cross funds, what's the added from?
Yeah, so there's different organizations out there that provide CPR to get certified. What we'll do is we'll go in, I know that our community events department has gone into some high schools. We'll have an event at the mall, Washington Square, where we just kind of give people an intro of how to do hands-on CPR and such. But if you want to be certified in that, then there's certain organizations that will get you that certification. Yeah.
I was curious, looking at the boundary of CDFNR on this fact sheet. There is no other existing jurisdiction that you map to. It's just whoever invites you to come in and provide fire service, then you annex them into your district, and that's that. Is that how that works?
Yeah, so you can see on the list of who we serve, all those cities.
Yeah.
We're just we provide emergency services to the county. So we're a product of all these different counties that said, hey, we want to contract with us to provide the emergency. Like when I started 24 years ago, some of these cities had their own fire department.
Yeah.
Right. And so over time, we're basically a district. So now we serve.
So the economy of scale and your professionalism has won the hearts and minds of different cities.
And we continue to strive to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
By the
Yeah.
way, thank you for my husband, before he passed away, fell a couple of times. And
sorry.
You guys came out and were
Close by.
extremely professional and very helpful.
Okay.
Made a huge difference.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, over 80% of our calls are still medical. I'm a paramedic as well. And so we do a lot of EMS. A lot of times we're the first on scene. If people don't know the system, we can hit you afterwards, kind of explain the system that we live in. But basically we get their first stabilized treat, and then in a private ambulance someone comes and we'll take them to the hospital from that. So any questions?
So how many stations are there?
Well, count them up. Last I looked, I think we had 27.
27.
I started in 1998. It was a lot smaller as far as that many departments, so we've grown. But yeah, we service a big area. We're the largest serving district in the state of Oregon as far as population. Portland, not population, service area. So Portland serves more people. Obviously, it's Portland, but we serve a greater square miles. Okay.
Are there only 27 stations?
Well, each station usually has one or two apparatus. Right now, I'm with a crew of 4, so but some stations have a crew of 8 or more than that. Just depends on the call volume. Downtown Beaverton, right by on Farmington Road, by the skate park. That's battalion chief and 2 other rigs. It's a really good.
And TDFNR, was another part of it, was huge, and they told them that soon roll out into that. Huge, like official TDFNR.
Yeah, that was an interesting time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So can we get Lindsay? Oh, Lindsay's there. Oh, Virginia has a question. I don't know. We'll find out. Virginia.
Yeah, we just had a really bad house fire in Bonnie Slope, and people were asking what the cause was. And in my experience, it's been pretty hard to ever find that out. What can we do to find out what that turns out to be?
Where was your fire? Where are the fire? I've got a few lately here. Which one are you talking about, man?
The one on Weirberg, it was a total loss. It was just a couple of days ago.
Well, kind of like, it's all in the investigation. So we have a whole division, our fire inspectors, where they try to determine the cause, and legally, even if I knew, I couldn't tell you, no offense. But, if you really wanted to know, you could call our local, administration line and then get directed to like fire prevention, and they may be able to help you with further questions.
Yeah, I think, people would like to know so that they can look out for their own properties.
Yeah, I think, and I can't just pass this flyer through the computer, but if I could, and maybe you can
No, I'm asking Bruce to get me a copy of everything.
Yes, ma'am. Good, he's on it. That'll help a lot from what I see this time of year for fires.
Okay, thank you.
What can you do, Nancy, now? How do we do it? He's there. Okay.
You just spotlight her.
Who's on? I'm not, I'm just fiddling around.
How do you do it? I don't.
I can go real quickly, Bruce, if you want me to. Does that work? Okay, I'll be quick. Hi, everybody. My name is Lindsay Wachnick. I'm with Tualatin Valley Water District, who provides water for the area. I'm here to share some project updates, as well as just a couple winter reminders for everyone. We are working on a water main project in our service area on Southwest 92nd Avenue in Tigard. After our water infrastructure work, the city of Tigard is going to repave the road using their pavement management funding, which is a win-win for us. Our next water main replacement project is going to be on Northwest West Lawn Terrace. And we've been waiting a while for that one in Virginia, right? So that's coming up here in mid-March. And we'll have some more information in early March for that. If you're interested in learning more about these water main replacement projects, we're doing a virtual Talking Water Mains 101 presentation and a Q&A on February 12th at noon. So you're welcome to attend that to learn more, or watch it on our YouTube account. We'll go ahead and record that. We're continuing to seismically strengthen our system with lots of major projects. One of those is on Southwest Taylor's Ferry Road, and another on Southeast 189th Avenue, just right off Farmington Road. We're building new reservoirs, new pump stations, and seismically resilient pipeline projects. So those are important for us. But the biggest project we've been working on for the past 9 years, I hope that you have all heard about it, is we're building a whole new water system that's going to serve water from a new source, which is the Mid-Willamette River right by Wilsonville, to our customers for the next 100 years. So this is a really important project, and we'll be doing more targeted communication to our customers when we get closer to integrating the new source. And then I just want to finish with a couple winter weather reminders. We're responding to lots of water main breaks, and customers are reporting frozen pipes, especially with the cold weather. We're just encouraging everyone to know where your water shutoff valve location is. Unfortunately, that's usually in the crawl space or the basement or near foundations. So it might be a good idea just to locate that early, just in case you need to use it, in case you have a frozen or broken pipe. And then just a reminder to stock up on emergency water for your family and pets. And then you can find all that information and more on our website at tvwd.org. And that's it for me.
Nancy. So I think we're done with service providers, unless somebody's hiding that I didn't know about. But I think we're ready for our main speaker.
Everybody, my name is Amy Sturgeon, and I'm from Washington County Public Health. I work in the Emergency Preparedness Department with my good friend and colleague Nancy, who is going to bring an amazing presentation on Emergency Preparedness 101 for you very soon. But I wanted to take just a couple of minutes to introduce myself and tell you about what I do. Like I said, I do emergency planning. It's not that yet. I do emergency planning for public health.
And just to kind of give you an idea of the context of that, I want to point out that there is a very large emergency operations plan that is county-wide. A lot of these things are managed by different departments because they have their own subject matter expertise. Emergency management manages most of it and writes and revises plans for most of it. But there's this little slice for public health because, as you know, from COVID and other traumatic events, we come in and have our role. And so I write plans that talk about what public health's roles and responsibilities are in general preparedness and general response, and also incident specific plans. So for right now, for example, I'm revising the environmental health plan. So what environmental health, which is housed inside of public health, does when there is something like, I don't know, a vector, like mosquito vector outbreak, or if there is a foodborne outbreak or something to that effect. So it's a lot of things. So why am I telling you all this? We do this all internally, but we'd like to change that a little bit. We'd like to make sure that the community is aware of the planning that we're making. If health equity teaches us anything, it's that the more voices, the more people who experience an emergency have a means of communicating to us their experience with public health, and we can write our plans better. A really good example of that is people who have access and functional needs. Access and functional needs can be anything from difficulty with ambulation, with walking, to difficulty with language. And we want to make sure that when we write our plans, we're not just writing our plans for able-bodied people who speak English, right? We want to make sure that our plans serve everyone, because everybody deserves to be treated with that dignity and respect, especially during an emergency. So the more people that we have aware of our plan writing processes, the more we have opportunity and the more we can invite people to weigh in. So so what I'm starting to do is I'm starting to participate in something called the Disaster Services Network. And this is kind of modeled out of, after a COAD, which stands for Community Organizations Active in Disasters. And what they typically do is they come together and they coordinate preparation and response within their scope for emergencies and disasters, which is great. We want the community to have that extra support, right? And it's a way of making the community aware of what they can do to enhance their resilience. So I'm part of this Disaster Services Network, which is very fledgling right now. It's just getting its legs. It's not exactly a COAD. It's being shaped by the participants as we go. So I wanted to come and tell you about that, so that if you are interested in being a part of that, weighing in on not just our plans, but the other initiatives being taken for community resilience, get prepared for emergencies and disasters, you do have that opportunity. So we brought you a lot of things. Most of it is going to be hyper relevant to Nancy's portion of the presentation today, but I do have a couple of flyers back there that I'm hoping that you'll look at. One is called Get Involved, and it gives you a list of resources that we could use your help. We could use community, especially if you have some special subject matter expertise or experience, and you have some capacity to help out. Then there's some really great opportunities to do that. The other flyer I have back there is Get Trained. So big letters, Get Trained, and there's opportunities for training. A gentleman before us mentioned, sorry, I always say this hands-free. It's not hands-free, it's CPR. It's hands-only CPR. Don't do it without your hands. But we also facilitate, and I'm not sure how we're doing right now, but that, sorry, public health emergency preparedness, you can call me that. We do stop first aid, so please check that out. And with that, give me your time. So here is Nancy, and thank you for letting me babble at you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi everyone, thank you.
Thank you for being here both in person and virtually. My name is, as Amy said, Nancy Flores Sanchez. I work for Public Health Emergency Preparedness. My official title is Program Communication and Education Specialist. But what I do is I manage the Medical Reserve Corps of Volunteers for Washington County. And we do lots of stuff from clinics to first aid events. We also do trainings. So I'm working, this is my first full year. This is my second year now. This first full year, we did more events than we did previously. So the second year, we're hoping to get them out there even more. And then I also do community outreach and education on my own. So things like this, I go to schools sometimes. And so if you know any other organizations that would like an emergency preparedness presentation, please let me know. I also do them in Spanish. The Medical Reserve Corps can help with these, but we don't have any, right now I don't have anyone that speaks other languages to be able to do these presentations, and I can do them in Spanish. So today we're gonna go over a little bit of emergency preparedness. First, before we get started, I wanna let you know that this presentation will be shared with you. So anything that says, you know, go to this website or sign up here, you're gonna get that later. So you don't have to try and like sneak a picture of it or write it or do any of that. And also all of the information that is here, we get it from the take5tosurvive.com, which the booklets are back there and it has everything just like it does here. It's all in that booklet back there. We have other flyers and some stickers that I'll talk to you a little bit more about once we get going. So if you have any questions, just please raise your hand and I'll do my best to make sure I stop so that we can do that. All right, let's get going. Oh no. It's not working. Oh, okay. I can you just push enter. Nope.
Try it again.
All right. Yay.
Tony, is the microphone turned on that machine,
Which one?
on the laptop?
On the laptop?
The audience is.
Yeah, virtually, can you hear me? Everyone okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. Okay, so why I learned about preparedness, I think most of us are aware that we're expecting some disaster soon, right? Hopefully not like today. But you want to be prepared because you and your family are generally going to be able to recover faster and you're going to have a better chance of staying safe if you are prepared. Also, you can help the community that you live with. You're here now to make sure that your community is strong and prepared, and you can share this knowledge and make sure that even those that are not here are also prepared. And you can learn the skills and you can learn different skills to teach others. Oh no, did you again?
I think because I moved it, you just have to click on the screen.
Okay.
Yeah, like that, and then do it.
Ah. Okay. So, like I said, this is all based on the Take 5 to Survive campaign. Take 5 to Survive, the reason that it's called that is because emergency preparedness can seem really, really overwhelming. When you look at it big picture, there's a lot that you need to do. There's a lot that you need to gather. And it can be very overwhelming for some people, so overwhelming that they kind of just give up or don't even start because they don't know where. So Take 5 is, they've broken it down into 5, also if I talk too fast, please let me know. Into what's supposed to be like 5-minute increments. So you can do little chunks at a time and check those off and then keep going as you go on until you have everything or have learned everything that you need to be prepared. So that's what Take 5 to Survive means. And it does have a preparedness calendar in the booklet that we'll go over as well to help you break those down. Now, do you have to do it 5 minutes at a time? No, but it makes it so that you can do it at your own pace. Okay, so one of the first things you want to ask yourself is, are you ready for a disaster? What hazards can affect you, not just in your home, because a lot of the time when we focus on emergency preparedness, we're focusing on our home, right? Our house, like, oh, do we know where all the shadows are? Do we have enough water? But you're focused on home. But a disaster is not necessarily going to happen when you're at home.
So you need to make sure that you are prepared, in case it occurs in the other places that you frequent. It could be at a workplace or school or a community, location, other places that maybe you volunteer somewhere every weekend or something, then you need to know, what hazards can affect those places and, make a plan for those areas as well. Are you able to receive alerts and warnings if hazards occur? There's going to be some information on how to sign up and make sure you're receiving this if you're not already. Can you communicate, with your family and friends if communication is disrupted? So we all rely on our phones and technology, right, to remember phone numbers. I know that I have my top 4 people phone numbers memorized, but like I don't think a lot of us do that anymore because we're so reliant on it. But what you really want to do is make sure that you also have it written down. You don't have to memorize it, but make sure you have it written down somewhere because you don't know if you're going to have access to your phone when it's something like this occurs. Do you have the emergency supplies? We're going to go over those as well. And do the people that you live with know what to do during an emergency? That's really important too, because if you might live with your family, does your family know? Do your roommates know? Do you live in a center? Do they know? Does everybody there know? So one of the things you want to make sure you do is plan together and practice, right? It might seem silly to practice escaping a fire, but it's really important. Actually, being here is bringing me back to when I was little, because I'll tell you a little story. My brothers were not so safe, and I wasn't the greatest babysitter, but to be fair, I was 13. And we lived on a farm, so my brothers were outside all the time. I was watching TV, and all of a sudden, my little brother, I see him running across the yard, and he's sprinting, and he comes up and he goes, "Nancy, the tree's on fire." And I'm like, "What?" "No, it's not." And he grabs a chair, and he's like 6 years old, he's very adorable, and drives it to the counter, grabs a coffee mug, fills it with water, so cute, and runs across. And the whole time I'm just like, what is he doing? He's like, "No, seriously, the tree is on fire." And so I peek my head out the window, and we had like a Douglas fir tree, big giant tree up in our backyard, was completely engulfed in flames, just completely. And it was up I had a bird on my pet bird. She flew out the window, so then I had to grab the phone, jump out the window, call the fire department. My brothers just bolted. And then we had to come every weekend for the next month to the fire department. That's why I'm like, oh yeah, here to take classes on every Saturday morning on how to, fire safety and also plan together and practice. So we had to make a map, draw a plan, make other exits, and then practice. And it was actually kind of awesome though, because the fire department actually came to our house on our last day to make sure that we had, graduated and learned everything and watched us do our evacuation. It was pretty cool. I like that part. Giving up my weekends wasn't so fun, but that part was fun. Is they watched us and they were like, "Hey, you did great," and they let us take the lead as kids, which is something that I recommend also as a former teacher. Let your kids or the kids in your family take the lead. They love it. It empowers them, and also it helps them in case it happens to not be so scared. They won't be as afraid if they know what to do. So make sure that if you do have kids in your family, let them take the lead and practice with them. Okay, so identify emergency meeting place, outside your home, outside your workplace, outside school, where you're going to gather. Make sure that everybody knows. Don't pick just one because you might not all be together when something happens. So you want to make sure that you have more than one meeting place in case the first one is, if it's a giant earthquake and you picked a building that is no longer there, make sure you have a backup area for people to meet. And then again, collect contact information. Identifying out of area contacts during a disaster, especially like a very large one, our towers and everything, it's gonna be hard to get through to people. But it can be easier to get a call outside of the state and then for them to get back in. So make sure you have an out-of-state contact that you all can call that can hopefully be that liaison if that happens. Okay. And it's very important to make sure that you consider the different abilities of everyone in your household. Or perhaps check in with a neighbor if you know that there's a neighbor that is going to need assistance evacuating, make sure that they have a plan and they know that you're there, and check in, all of that. And also make sure you make a plan based on the help that you will need on your worst days, right? So don't make a plan for like the middle or, you know, late spring when it's nice and sunny and everything's great and nobody's cold, nobody's hot. Don't make one of those plans, make one for when it's the worst. And also for you, like if you, for example, you have, or someone in your circle has a disease where they have like episodes that can get really bad, make a plan for that time, for what you're gonna do during that time. And then make sure you're sharing all of this information with your support network. And you'll have, again, this publicalerts.org is gonna pop up a lot. There's great resources there. And you'll get this later on. Make sure you consider personal care, water service. We're going to talk about how much water you're going to need. But if you have devices that require clean water, medical devices, or anything like those are going to be separate. So make sure you're accounting for that as well. For personal care equipment, same thing. Adaptive feeding devices, if you have devices that are going to require electricity, make sure you account for what you're going to do if the power is out. Medication, I have emergency stash of medication for like, you know, a couple days or a week if needed. Make sure that you have that. If you have medications that you need to take daily, ask your pharmacist if that's, or your provider, if that's something that you can do. You can have an emergency stash. And don't forget service animals and pets. Pets cannot share your water, they need their own water. So make sure you have that for them, so you don't run out of your emergency water for your pets. And any support services that you need or have, make sure that you work with those services to make a plan as well. Pet preparedness. I have 2 lovely dogs that are so adorable. And I also have a supply kit for them. Oftentimes we forget and we assume, oh, they'll just eat what we eat, or they'll drink out of my water, but they need to have their own, because you don't know how long you're gonna be without water or food. So you don't wanna give up yours for them, so you wanna make sure they have their own. So make sure they have their food and water for 2 weeks. They're another collar and leash just in case, medicine if they need it, medical records, vaccine records, there's pet first aid kits that you can get, important documents like registration and vaccine records. And if you're going to go into a shelter, some shelters do allow pets, but they need to be in a pet carrier. So make sure you have one of those ready for your pet. Some familiar toys or treats or bedding, because they will also be anxious and scared. So you want to make sure that they're comfortable. Plastic bags for their cleanup, and also a current photo of your pet along with a photo of you with your pet, so that you can show that they're actually yours. Because we don't know how they're going to react when they're scared and anxious. You might call them over and they might be like, no, I'm frozen, right? So you want to make sure you have that. Develop a buddy system. One of the first things that I did when I moved to a new home was knock on my neighbor's door, because I saw they had a dog. And I said, hey, here's my contact information. If there's an emergency, would you be willing to come and check on my dogs or take them over with you? I would be willing to take your dog and have them. We introduced our pets, and we have each other's contact info for that, because although I work mostly from home, sometimes I do these things, and what is going to happen to my dog, or what if my husband isn't there? So you want to make those plans as well. Make sure they don't, well, I know, like, I grew up on a dairy farm, so all our pets roamed free, but it's not recommended to do that, because they will bolt, they can run away if there's an emergency. So just make sure you're careful. Okay, so this is one of the ones I'm just gonna let you kind of look at it, and we're gonna move kind of quickly as we're talking about these alerts, because you're gonna get all of the links and all of the phone numbers and everything sent to you afterwards. But publicalerts.org, you can sign up to get texts, call, a landline, or email. And of course, we have our TV and radio alerts that we see often. And you can also get wireless emergency alerts, and all of this is provided for you so that you can sign up. But publicalerts.org is pretty simple to go through and get it. You're not going to get alerts for anything else that isn't an emergency. It's only for emergency purposes. So you're not going to get like, oh, remember to have, like, I don't know, something supplies when if there's no emergency, you're not going to get that. It's only going to be like boil water notices, or if there's a threat near you and you need to hunker down, you'll get those services as well. But you won't get anything else, and you'll only get it for the area that you're in. This is the same thing, except that you can sign up by calling or texting this number for those alerts. Not this one, that one's for employees. More information on the public alerts. This gives you a little bit of what resources are available on that website as well. All right, so we talked already about you don't need to get prepared all at once. Make sure you do a little, you can do a little each month. And also planning and learning is free, right? Like this presentation right now. Some of the other cost saving strategies that you can do are to share responsibly with your neighbors, right? So and let's say you need like an axe or something for cutting trees and starting a fire to keep yourself warm safely. You all don't have to have one, right? You can share. So that's just an example of something that you can do to keep the costs low, is work with your community and your neighbors to share. Don't share your water. Because again, we don't know how long we're going to be without that unless you have an abundant source of water. But you don't want to do that, but you can share other supplies, other tools. You can go to the dollar store and thrift stores to find some supplies. And one of the things that we really recommend that you do is when you're storing your food, make sure that you're buying food that your family actually enjoys eating, because it expires, right? And when it expires, if you purchase tuna and no one in your family likes tuna, then you're just going to toss it, right? But if you purchase like soup or chili and you like that, when it gets close to expiring, you can just eat it and then get more and replace. You want to prepare for in your home. You want to have 2 weeks worth of supplies. For work or school locations, one, maybe like a backpack or like just something that you keep in your office. And in your car, you want to have at least 1 day as well of supplies in there. And those will change too, depending on the weather. Creative storage, I don't know about you, but I was in an apartment where I don't know why this is a trend now, but in the new ones, they don't have like linen closets, they don't have storage closets. They just have the bedroom closets. We had nowhere to store things, so we did have to get really creative. I made underbed drawers and shoe organizers. We did that too. You could put things inside suitcases or create new fun furniture, new hide your supplies or keep your supplies into. Emergency water. So you need 1 gallon per person per day for 2 weeks. This does include like water for brushing your teeth or washing your hands or doing other things, but it does not include water for medical supplies or anything else that might require water. So keep that in mind. This is a way that you can go and get those 2-liter bottles and wash them out to store water. But of course, you can also just buy it. If there's also other places where you can go, you can get like, I have emergency tablets for when I go hiking, just in case, or life straws. But if you don't have the funds to be able to do all of that, you can get the 2-liter soda bottles. You don't use the milk or juice because they absorb some things and that will cause bacteria. You don't want that. Clean them with soap and bleach and then fill them, date and store. And it is recommended you change them every 6 months. So you can definitely do that. There's also, did we bring these? Yep, okay. So we did bring Thank you. Some of these water tank tags, it'll show you how to access the water from your water heater. And as a last resort kind of thing, I would not rely on that because you don't know what level it's gonna be at when disaster strikes. So it is for an emergency only.
Redundancies are good. Emergency preparedness.
If you click on this link, it'll take you to a cute video showing you how to make this cute little tippy tap is what we call it, to wash your hands. So you hang it and you wash step on it and the water comes down so you can wash your hands. But if you don't want to make your own little tippy tap, you can also just use hand sanitizer to clean your hands. Just make sure it's at least 60% alcohol. I could watch the video just for fun. So when I started with that emergency preparedness of the county, my interview was making a presentation on poop buckets for first graders. And I was very confused as to why. Because when you think of emergency preparedness, not all of us think about what we're going to do if there are no bathrooms. We focus on supplies, we focus on water, all of those things, shelter, but we don't think about what we're going to do if we can't use the bathroom for longer than just a few days, right? A few days, maybe we can figure it out, but maybe if it's longer, we don't know what to do. So this is what we do. They developed the twin bucket system. This was after the big earthquake in New Zealand. When that earthquake occurred, people in New Zealand weren't able to use their bathrooms or their systems for more than 8 months. It was almost a year. They had to fly in porta potties from other countries because they didn't have anywhere to go. And what happens when we don't have anywhere to go is that waste gets into our water and it spreads and it causes diseases, right? That's when we start seeing things like cholera. We don't want that. So what you need to do is have 2 buckets. And the reason we need 2 buckets, there's little bucket, thank you. There's a
full size.
Yeah, not this size. This is just for demonstration. But you want the 5-gallon buckets. So you want 2 of them. The reason we want 2 is because the reason we want 2 is because poo has pathogens, pee has volume. If you mix them together, you have a large volume of pathogens that is easy to spread, that will spread easily, right? And it's very difficult to get rid of when it's gross like that. So you want to have 1 for poo, 1 for pee. The pee bucket is fairly easy. You go, don't put toilet paper in it, nothing, just go. When it's halfway full, take it outside, dump it. That's it, you're done. We brought stickers for you. They come with the instructions, and so you can label your pee and your poo buckets.
That way you don't have to use a Sharpie to write on the bucket.
Exactly. It even has a handy little checklist of supplies right here.
It's just a little bit more elegant.
You see that? With the poo bucket, you're going to line the bucket with heavy-duty 13-gallon garbage bags. And then you're going to, when you go, you put the toilet paper in there. Then you also want to put some carbon material like dry leaves, dry grass, bark chips, that sort of stuff on top. And then when it's halfway full, you take it out, tie it nice and tight, put it in another 13-gallon garbage bag, so you double bag it, tie it up, and then you're going to store it away from food, water, animals, kids, people, just keep it away. If you live in a place that has a garage, that'd be a great place, or a shed or a basement, just, you know, away from all of the things. If you don't, and you don't have anywhere to put it, I have been telling people, because we don't know exactly how bad things are gonna be, right? So I've been telling people to keep it in their bathroom, like keep it in the shower or the bathtub. Because it's double bagged, and yes, it's gross, you know that's what it is, but you're not gonna be able to smell it if you tied it tight and double bagged it, you're not gonna be able to smell it. And it's gonna be in a place where, I mean, it already goes there anyway, so just keep it there, keep the door closed. It's important that you don't put it outside, because if raccoons get into it, or rats, or anything like that, you don't want that to happen.
Question.
Yes.
If you have a septic tank and you have access to your septic.
Yeah,
tank,
you're gonna be fine, yeah.
Can you dump it in your septic tank?
Yeah, you should be fine if you have, yeah, or a latrine, like if you have enough space and we're gonna be doing this forever, but you can build a latrine, that's, you know, okay, good for, you know, lucky you, I don't have that.
You're probably, if you have an outhouse.
Yeah, I mean, so if we're gonna do this for 8 months, I mean, you might.
What else are you gonna start
Get a shovel.
So could you actually dig a hole?
You actually could, if you have the space, you have the, then yeah,
Any recommendations as how deep it should be dug?
don't, but I think there's resources in the. Here, emergency toilet guidebook. There is a guidebook, yeah. I also made a video, actually. I made a video in English and Spanish, so kind of just. Maybe. I'm not in it, I refused. I did the like animation thing, I was like, no, I don't wanna be in it. Anyway, so that is, and then you'll just, have to wait until, public agencies tell you what to do with the guys. We're not, probably likely not gonna know until after, a couple of weeks, probably, unfortunately, because we can't predict what areas are gonna be impacted and how badly they're gonna be
So if
impacted.
we have trash service, probably should not go in trash.
It should not go in the trash if you're looking and it's still picking up, yeah, no, we don't want it in there because then it's gonna get mixed up with other things and, not until, so just keep it separate until public agencies tell you. If they tell you that trash is gonna come pick it up and put it there, then do that, but don't do anything with it until they tell you what to do. Any other questions? Oh, yes. I forgot to tell you actually. I'll have to deliver those at another time because we do have toilet seats for you. But I'll have them, I'll come drop off the box with something for you. Toilet seats. We have them for you, but yeah, we were in 2 different locations, so yeah, I forgot to let her know. Don't use pool noodles as toilet seats because they absorb. If you don't want to. Apparently that was a secret. People don't do it. But yes, I will deliver some toilet seats. So.
You ever talk, okay, so I know Solar's been in a lockdown situation for a whole day before, a couple years ago, and they now, the PTOs and stuff now supply them emergency, they have these toilets. And it's an unfortunate thing that our schools have.
Yes,
But they have the owner buckets, but they don't have. They don't have toilets.
ours did. So this is been here a year and a half. So before that, I was a teacher for public schools. They did have toilet seats. The actual lid was just, they opened it up and it was a toilet seat. I don't know about other districts, but I know that.
Got it by so, you know.
You had it, yeah. Ours, at PPS did. They had to. All right, so, someone earlier was talking about checking for hazard, making sure you knew where all of your shut-offs was, and I told them, no, she's doing my job for me. But yes, make sure that you know where all of those shut-offs are and make sure you know how to do it, right? Don't just look at it and be like, okay, there it is, you know, make sure you know how to. And I'm telling that to myself because I don't know how, but I do know where they are, so. We'll both practice, we'll all practice. And then again, hold a family earthquake drill, practice, drop, cover, hold on. Again, if you have kids in your family, ask them to show you what they do at school. Right? Have them lead one. And again, family fire drills to practice escaping from your home. Yeah, we kind of already went over this a little bit about selecting 2 places and all of that good stuff. Also make sure that your alarms are set and you know what they sound like. And that if you have like if your water tank is up against the wall, not like loose and able to fall over, and as well as bookcases or anything else that's like that could topple over during an earthquake, make sure it's attached. So Washington County hazards, make sure we're going to talk about a little bit about what kind of hazards can affect us in Washington County. We'll go over earthquakes, floods, windstorms, all of that. And climate change is creating more hazards in our area. We know that we have had extreme weather, these last couple years, and it just gets worse. I mean, I've been here basically my whole life, and I don't ever remember having an 115-degree day ever. So it's getting unfortunately getting worse. Make sure you know where your shelters are. Make sure that when these instances do happen, you check in on your neighbors, you check in on your loved ones, so that everyone's that's okay. And then here is another link for more information on that. So hazards that can occur in our community: extreme heat, wildfire and smoke. That one terrible year. We remember what that was like. That was awful. Winter storms, of course. This last winter storm, my first winter storm with Bet, I was in Washington, D.C. for what was supposed to be a 3-day trip and ended up staying there for a week. Our flights got canceled because of the weather here one time, and then they got canceled because of the weather there the second time. So, yeah, I missed our winter storm last year, but I got one over there on the East Coast. So, flooding, earthquakes, pandemic, terrorism is also something that we need to be prepared for. Make sure you know, like, the exits wherever you go, right? That's one thing that I always pay attention to, is I know where my exits are, and I'm facing the exit, and I know which way to go in case of an emergency, in case anything unfortunate happens. And then there's also personal emergencies that we want to be prepared for, right? Like loss of a job, power goes out for a couple of days, you're stranded, your car breaks down. You want to prepare for those situations as well. Okay, so we are in the Cascadia subduction zone. We know that we are expecting the big one, don't know when. This YouTube channel right here, I really recommend going to that, because it shows you how to, for example, here it's telling you how to drop, cover, and hold on for people with different mobility abilities, which is awesome. But this one right here also shows you, for example, I go to a lot of Timbers and Thorny Skates, and it shows you what to do if you're in a stadium. It shows you how to prepare for an earthquake if you're in a stadium. It shows you how to prepare if you're driving, you're outside in fields. It gives you lots of scenarios and shows you what to do if there's an earthquake while you're in those locations. So I definitely recommend going to that YouTube playlist. Do I remember how to do what to do? No, so I'm probably going to go through it again, but it's really awesome. I went through and ended up watching all of them. All right. So we're okay. Okay. After the shaking stops, check for hazards, check for damage, right? Check for like down power lines or sharp things that are jutting out, or things that are, hanging precariously. Make sure you're checking for all of that. Check for injuries on yourself and check for injuries on others. Check in with your circle and neighbors, and then be ready for aftershocks. In the case of the big one that we're expecting, which is the greater than 9.0, right? Our aftershocks are going to be probably bigger than that earthquake in New Zealand. Like our aftershocks are going, if our main earthquake is greater than a 9.0, our aftershocks are going to be like a 7, 6, 7. They're going to be pretty big. So make sure that you are prepared for that. Then we talked a little bit about first aid classes and things like that we can take. There's some links here with Washington County and Red Cross. I do with the county, occasionally go and provide first aid classes, and so does the MRC. And there's a link for Washington County here to get that.
Knows what MRC is.
The medical, yeah, sorry if I didn't say that earlier. The medical reserve part that I referred to it. Thank you. And then there's the early alert website, Shake Alert. I hear that now it did give a couple seconds warning to, I think it was an earthquake in California. It was a couple seconds, but it was something, and hopefully, but it'll just keep getting better and better. So you can go to shakealert.org to sign up for that. And then there's apps like MyShake, which are available in several different languages. So yeah. for extreme temperatures. I'm not gonna go over all of the symptoms, because there's, as you can see, there's a lot. But you'll have access to this, so you can look at it, and then, but I'll go over a few of them. If for heat exhaustion, what you want to, and please, I forgot what name, I'm so sorry.
Sure.
Please correct me if I'm giving inaccurate advice. But for heat exhaustion, you want to get yourself, if that's you, you want to get to a cooler air conditioned place, drink water if you are still fully conscious, and take a cool shower or use cold compresses. You can like wet things and put them on there. For heat stroke, you just want to call them. You just call right away. And then if heat exhaustion, if they're not getting any, if they're not showing signs of improvement, then you're also going to have to call, right? Frostbite. Redness or pain in skin area may be the first sign. White or grayish yellow skin that feels unusually firm or waxy or numbness. And I'm going to ask you actually to help me with this one, because I always forget, what is it that you're, like if someone's showing signs that it's starting, like let's say in the hand or something, what is it that we should do?
Well, but then get out of the environment.
Right, yeah.
And then, basically, it just depends on the severity of if it's blistering or if it's such, cover, keep out of the production. Seek urgent care. It's not, necessarily like threatening. It gets more, I think you're gonna get into where it really gets bad when you start hallucinating, stuff like that. And then that's where we get involved.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so signs and symptoms of hypothermia is when we want to get emergency services involved. In adults, shivering, fumbling hands, exhaustion, drowsiness, hallucination. I didn't know.
I can't read that one.
Confusion, memory loss, slurred speech. For infants, it's bright red, cold skin, and they're very, very, very low energy. So you want to just call. I would say if you have any doubts, I would just call.
I would say that to kiddos. We're seeing that a lot this time of year. Febrile seizures. So kids don't have the ability to regulate their temperature. So when they're sick, their fever goes up and up, and if it's not medicated, their natural body's response is to seize. And it's not parents, even my kids. Thankfully, I didn't have one, but I have my driver across the street, has 4 girls, one of his had a seizure, he flipped out. He sees it every, it's when you're a kid.
Yeah.
But just know if you come across a kid that's been sick and they start to seize, obviously call us, but try to give as much reassurance to the family that they can't shiver. They haven't developed that mechanism yet to get heat off. So seizing is their way of getting that heat on. So it's not necessarily life-threatening. We're still going to evaluate them, but it is a natural process for kiddos to get rid of their heat. It's a scary term, but
yeah, awesome. Thank you. And this link will show you how to find shelters for extremely hot or cold days. And don't forget, if you have pets, you need a carrier. Okay, so we remember when we were here. Yeah, it's not fun. It can cause, we know, irritation to your lungs, throat, chest, asthma attacks, and increased risk for lung or chest infection. And this is going to be even worse for people that already have some of these conditions. So people that already have asthma, people that already have like lung issues or infection, lung disease going on, this is going to be way worse for them. You want to create, if you're able to create like a clean air room. So what that means is a room where you block it off, you keep the door closed, you don't open it unless you're going in or out, and try to limit how many times you go in or out. Maybe put like a barrier underneath so the bad air doesn't get in and the good air doesn't, the clean air doesn't get out. And you can go in there to have some respite from the bad air in your home. And also, of course, limit and stop time outside. I'm going to show you how to make an at-home air filter for you. So if you're able to purchase like a HEPA filter or something like that for your home, great. But if you cannot, or if you have others around you that also might not be able to afford that, this is an affordable way to help. You could definitely put this in the clean air room and would definitely help you have that. So you need a box fan and a furnace filter. You can go to like an auto parts store or other places. Most hardware stores have these filters, 20 by 20, and then some tape. That's all you need. Also, these are like, I see these at Goodwill all the time too. So you can get those pretty cheap as well. Take the tape the filter against the back of the fan. Make sure the arrows on the filter are pointing toward the front of the fan, and then turn the fan on. And that's it. If you have a couple of these, then you can make a couple of those, right? In your home, maybe have more than one clean air room and help out. But yeah, that's that. And just remember to start small, but start now, right? Make sure you get started. So take5tosurvive.com, other resources here as well. Again, you'll get this presentation sent to you, so you'll have access to all of the links and everything else, and we have paper stuff back there, and I'll be here for any other questions.
How will you send it to us?
Huh?
How will you send
I
it?
can send it to you by email.
And you'll send it to the CPO? Or
Yeah,
will you send it
well-
to everybody that's here that is signed in? with-
Well, we can send it to everyone that's here, and then you can send it to whoever you want to.
Well,
But I sent it to Nancy.
okay, it's important, if you want to get a copy of it, be sure your email address is on the sign-in sheet.
Yeah, and also it's on it, the booklet has all the same information as well over there. Yes.
Is there a way we could get like 20 of the booklets for our community or?
To hand out?
Yeah.
I brought about that, like 20 extra.
We ourselves prepared, but now our neighborhood of 92 houses want to get a community preparedness. And if we have a little something to pass out to the members that want to be part of the planning committee.
Yeah, and I think I've got a few options for that, not just like a hard copy. So I believe that they have like an online.
They have an online where you can, I believe you can request.
Yeah.
You can request them to be sent directly to you.
But their website is pretty elaborate. And pretty easy to navigate as well. So for maybe folks who are more comfortable with going online and do that, we can do that, but we can definitely, I think we could get them some hard.
Yeah, we can get them
Yeah.
to you, and also, again, I'm gonna drop off some toilet seats, so maybe I'll grab some when I see.
And when you say drop off, you're dropping them off here?
I'm gonna figure it out, because I don't know exactly where, but I'm gonna figure it out.
It's just like a neighborhood preparedness. You know, I was thinking like putting together an Excel spreadsheet, you know, with special needs, resource like doctors, nurses, implements like chainsaws. Is there an example of someone that's, I mean, we can create one, it's not that hard to create an Excel spreadsheet. But is there any examples of neighborhood spreadsheets that you're aware of?
That is a great idea, actually.
Yeah, I know.
idea.
We could look into
Yeah.
something like that. There might be kind of a template for something like that. There is this really cool notion in the disability communication called pod planning. And it's, and it's modeled after this idea of whale pods. So if you don't know about whales, they travel in pods, they travel in communities. And so it's this idea that you have, that everybody in your neighborhood, each individual has their go-to person, but they also have a backup over here, and a backup over there, or someone that they go to for this resource or that resource. So that's kind of a notion that you can kind of promote in your area. I know a person who was training for that. But as to a template for planning, we can look and see if there is something like that.
Do you know of any neighborhoods like in the Washington County area that have, I mean, we're just getting started doing that. Has anybody already done it that we could, you know, connect and reach out and you see what they've done, what's worked?
I think, I don't know, and my thought about that is that possibly because like post-COVID kind of hit everybody hard. And kind of blew like monkey wrenches and organizations like that. But it could be, and my understanding is that there is a greater, there's another organization that is comprised of chairs or vice chairs for the CPOs. I can't remember. What CCI, okay, yeah. And it could be something that maybe could be like there, maybe maybe collaborate on that level.
Bruce would be the person to talk to.
There you go.
He's the chair of that group.
Yeah, so maybe ask that question at that meeting, because I would think that might be something that has come up.
It's not something that's on CCI's radar at this point.
Okay, all right. But just maybe comparing notes, so yeah.
There's also the Washington County Public Affairs Forum, which is looking for, their every other week agenda topics, so. Like, that.
You know, what you can do, I think, yeah, use ChatGPT. Yeah, you can ask it, we're creating a template for a neighborhood. I don't know, preparedness program.
This book has like all, sorry, I didn't mention it, but it has all of the things, the information you want from your neighbors. It has like little pages that has little check marks and places for you to fill that out already in it. So you could take what's in here and turn it into something like that.
It takes a lot of trust in a neighborhood for everybody to share their medical information in one place.
Yeah.
Even though in an emergency, you'd be glad you did. That's a little bit beyond.
I don't think most people would be asking people to do that, but we might be asking people, like, email, if you wanted to, make us aware of the skill that you may have that may be of use, and these are the skills we're looking for, and just have people volunteer to say, I'm a doctor, or I'm a nurse, or I have a chainsaw, or I have a special needs, a child that may need, could somebody come and talk to me about things that we could be doing? It'd be volunteer. We certainly wouldn't be asking people to provide, their, HIPAA related medical information. That's all right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in an emergency, we are the ones who will help each other, and the most medically fragile are the ones who I'm just saying this is a big challenge to figure out how to get the information available and when you really need it. And if we've hidden it, it's hidden.
Well, Frank was talking about having subsets too, that maybe
Yeah.
smaller ponds, so to speak, within the neighborhood who know each other better, who could be that early warning system. They know people.
And I think just, we all live on the same block, no, I live on, but I think also just to have like this book, the Take 5 book, I would bet 90% of people in our neighborhood are not prepared at all, even that. So even just to pass out one of these books or make just copies of the important pages and put it in each of their, underneath their doormats and say, this is just how to work on. Because some people just don't even know where to begin or where to begin to reach out. Right. So we just give them a little bit.
Yeah, we can figure out how to get some things to.
Your guys' contact.
Yeah, my heart's fine.
I would suggest something on what we're saying. I think the best thing, I've been to Haiti and a lot of disaster reliefs before, and really you can't help until you help yourself.
Right.
And so if you really zone in on what they're talking about and getting yourself prepared, then you have the ability to go out and care for others.
That's what we did. So I sent out a note at the beginning of the year to all the neighbors and say, it was either this document or the Red Cross has a good emergency preparedness doc and say, hey, start somewhere, start now. Just, but then we're going to be building kind of a broader community, build up just so we can help each other. I mean, we're sort of an enclosed neighborhood.
Yeah.
You have to come into our neighborhood. It's not just a passerby thing. So it's anyway, so this has been helpful.
And one of the things that I really like about Nancy's presentation is like when she talks about going to the dollar store, don't go to the grocery store, you have to go REI.
Oh, yeah, more like Facebook Marketplace, buy nothing groups, I forgot to say that, like Craigslist free section, next door free section, I pick up some nice stuff.
Also, Buymark is really good. They're not that expensive, but Buymark has a lot of emergency preparedness stuff. But
Especially food.
Yeah.
So is there a list of things for a to-go bag?
Yes, it's in the booklet.
Yeah, there's a couple of books back there. There's
Take 5 Survive.
Yeah, take5tosurvive.com.
And there's also the little ones are public too, Miss Ready.
Yes.
Yeah, and they will take you through it too. Another resource I just wanted to point out, just to kind of get an idea, how many people in this room, and you don't have to out yourself, but maybe have someone that they care about, they love experiences. I better see everybody's hand go up. You know somebody with a disability.
somebody.
You know somebody with a disability. You're like, yeah, but I don't really love them. I wanted to point out this resource also. This comes from, oh, I told you, so it's from home. This right here is a Ready Now. It's an emergency preparedness toolkit for folks with disabilities. I did not bring the book. I brought the kind of a flyer with a QR code so you can access it really easily. This might be something that you might want to share. I brought a whole bunch of flyers for it. The book is about this thick, but that's because it's written in big letters, which is really awesome. But this was developed painstakingly by OHSU, so definitely grab one of these. There's a lot of facets to preparedness, as Nancy demonstrated today. A big part of it, and kind of my heart home about emergency preparedness are folks who experience disabilities. I mentioned COVID before. I actually used to work in Shasta County, California. I was working COVID when I was living there. And I was also, before I was reassigned to COVID, I was pretty much the health equity person. And my job was trying to make sure that our programs and all of our services were accessible to everybody, because that's what equity is really about. And so I've got a very big soft spot for like understanding that the game of getting prepared vastly changes when you are a wheelchair. When you look at all of those jugs of water in that picture and you're like, where are you gonna put those? You know, how do we get creative about that stuff? Because we have to get creative. So I'm really happy that we can share these kinds of things with you. And so when you look at those items back there, just kind of think about, you know, who's my target audience, or who do I care about, who's in my family, like the way that you're thinking, like what about my neighborhood and what challenges do they have? And look at everything and see what might benefit you. Sorry, I tend to babble.
No, you don't. Great. An idea that keeps coming to me is we have community gardens spread around, and if there were a building that was defined that would go someplace and would not only store food, onions, squashes, whatever, but also would have like a solar powered cooling system and do rainwater collection, we could have like emergency clubhouses at each community garden so that people would naturally know where to go.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to plant that idea in your minds that we could really make sort of double use of the community garden.
You'd want to be careful and make sure you still have your own things though. Just
Yeah.
in case, because you might not be able to access that place, like, the route there might be inaccessible. Or the building, depends on your building, right? If you chose an old building that's not like structurally sound, it might, so you do still want to make sure you would have yours. But that is an excellent idea, and it's a great.
The idea is that there are indestructible little buildings
Oh, then
that you
yes.
could put. I mean, they tend to be under high tension power lines too, so
Yeah.
that there's a drawback there, but something where people would collectively know where to go.
Yeah, you do always want to make sure you have one of those places, especially for your.
There is this idea of building resilience hubs, and that looks different from place to place, and it could be just a place for people to go during blue sky days to just kind of connect with their community. That builds resilience too. It doesn't always have to be we're gonna go into REI and go to Life Straw. You know, it can be meaningful connection. It's a big part of resilience and preparedness. Let me try to bring it up.
Is there a reason to think it's packed those aid kits?
Yeah, I have one. Not with me.
What would I be doing those aid with that?
Well, in case they have cuts, in case they break something, we need, you know, help them like that, or they ingest something that they're not supposed to be ingesting. Minor things. It's not like you're gonna do like a tourniquet or something,
Veterinary care.
but it is, they do have,
That's a good question.
they do, yeah, Amazon and REI has them, next to Venture, REI has them. So I got one from my mother, REI, they go.
I feel like this has become a commercial for REI. I just want to let you know that we're not allowed to.
Any recommendations as to where you should store this stuff, so if your house is hit by 2 fir trees, it doesn't land right where you stored your supplies?
Well, put them where the trees won't fall.
Okay.
I mean, our mentor, Adrian, says get creative about where you put things, put them in different places.
Is
So
that-
don't take all your water and put it.
Is that kind of a recommendation, is spread it out, so?
Yeah.
And ultimately, you want it to be, again, where it's not something, if the house is
Yeah.
crumbling from the earthquake, you don't want your supplies in the basement of the house.
Yeah.
Right,
Except
so-
the basement's probably the safest place.
Like we have a
Well,
shed.
it could be, you might not have access to it though.
Yeah.
Do
Like
a
a
little walkthrough
shed,
hazard
like,
analysis
yeah,
in your home.
And like my stuff's in the garage, I keep mine in the garage because it's just one small building, so chances are I'm gonna be able to access things in it a lot easier than, let's say, it was.
Another thing, we went to a
Well, not all of
Red
it.
Cross emergency prepared class way before COVID. But another thing was if you have a 2-story house, there's a good chance your 2 stories gonna become a 5 level. But they also said that to your, tie a pair of tennis shoes to the foot of your bed. So if your house does crumble and you can't find your shoes, you always know there's a pair of shoes tied to the edge of your end of your bed. And if you wear glasses, put a spare pair in the shoe because you may not find your glasses.
That's a great idea. I have like extra glasses on my.
I like slip-on shoes.
Put them under your bed anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, cheaper.
Other questions about the alert system,
The alert system,
the alert system.
the alert system, okay, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and who is driving the bus here? But who is running the alert system? Is it one entity that's, okay, here's another one, here we go, I mean, how does this all work?
Really good question.
Yeah, I think I'm not 100%, but it does, go in tiers, so you can get like city alerts. And then where someone at the city, like in the theft department, would be in charge of this, I believe. And then there's like countywide alerts, that you can get statewide.
So if you go to public alerts, you put in your zip code. And, so you want to think about where you spend your time, not just where you live, but maybe if you're working 8 hours a day in a different location, you want to sign up for alerts to both places. And what happens, and it takes you to the website for that region. And basically hooks you up with the alerts that the alerts servicer that they have contracted, right? So Washington County hasn't contracted with the same place as like Jackson County. Actually, they may have, but I'm just using it as an example. They may not have, you know what I mean? So public alerts, we go, and you plug in your zip code, then it will take you through the process of making sure that you're gonna get the alerts for your region. And if anybody knows anything more than that, please feel free to share. I'm looking in your direction.
Yeah, so, the public alert system, you can sign in, or you can sign up and you can choose what sort of alerts you want. It's typically used for emergencies, but it's also used by law enforcement if we need to do our first 911 or, different things like that. Send you text or call, you can choose how you're gonna be alerted. So there's email, there's text, there's phone calls, they differentiate cell phone and landline. And there's other options that are less common, but it's accessible from law enforcement, fire personnel, emergency personnel, that sort of thing. Typically, these places have someone that has the access to send that out. So like our PIO is the one that releases flash alerts and emails.
Everybody know what PIO stands for? Public Information Officer. Very good.
So I just looked it up and it looks like, it's FEMA. Along with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
Thank you.
Well, then no one.
Yeah. We'll be fine, we'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Okay.
Washington County.
We're okay.
We'll just text each other. Do you feel shaky? I feel shaken.
But Washington County
Well,
was the
yeah.
average system. That's right, yeah.
Okay, it's Cannon Beach. There's a tsunami coming. How am I gonna get you? Texted with.
And so it would send you a text as soon as,
Who is doing this?
that would be a public information safety officer, there's a variety of people who can send that out. So like, I can't speak to tsunami, that's not my area, but for example, we have a shelter in place. One of the upper command personnel will send out a shelter in place notice through that system for everyone who's signed up in the area or reverse 911. And then that'll send, however you request it, so text, there'll be an automated phone call, email, that sort of.
But your question was like, who's actually at the helm, who's actually sending that, making those decisions?
Well, I was in LA 2 months ago, when the fire started then. A helicopter comes over the ridge and says, go that way. And I got the text on my phone. I'm not local, so
So that's a cellular thing.
Oh, this is if you're in the area and you're signed up for alerts, sometimes they'll.
I also signed up. How do I want to sign up for us?
Your cell phone sometimes is signed up for things like that. So you can check your cell phone settings, like you'll get Amber alerts too.
It's in the setting.
That's in the settings. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So your cell phones are already like,
It's just blast out to
Side
yourself
to
in the area.
yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about amateur radio networks?
I can't talk a lot to them, I do have on my, get involved flyer back there. I have the QR code for the information, so you can go online and, it'll take you to the, Aries / what was the other acronym? There's too much alphabet soup in here. But Aries is the amateur radio network, and we're talking about redundancies, right? Like communication redundancies are super important in disaster strikes. So they are one of our community partners that emergency management coordinates with a lot. So when we do disaster or emergency exercises, we will usually bring in Aries. In fact, we did, I want to say about 1.5 years ago, a shelter exercise. So we went to like a recreation facility that they let us, play in, and built a shelter, and Aries was there doing the demonstration. And so if you are interested in getting involved, or if you're interested in their process or how they work, what they do, I do have a gateway to the information, even though I'm not really that knowledgeable myself. Does anybody else an Aries fan? The truth is out there. Did anybody get that?
No.
My people.
The value of the
I think
service.
we can transition into the open forum, so if anybody has issues or questions. Okay, and CPO announcements, next month we are meeting at, and it's actually, I don't think a decision has been made about what CPO1 is going to be doing, but CPO7 is going to have a joint meeting with CPO6, which is a Loa, Greenville, Cooper Mountain. And one is invited to attend whether you guys have a regular meeting or not, but it's based on the max crossing at 185th and Baseline Road. Apparently it's crossing.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're interested, we've invited St. Hillsborough, Washington County, TriNet, and hopefully Juan Carlos from Metro will be coming, and I believe Pam Treese, our county commissioner, will be coming as well. So they're looking for funding so they can actually start planning, because they're talking about trying to create an overpass over the max line on 185th to help relieve the congestion. But it's a long ways off before they have funding, but you're more than welcome to come to the meeting. I picked up mail today, and one of the things I found was at Tamsfor in the section with Target, they are planning a I forget what the name of it is, it's a chicken fingers place. It is apparently a pretty, it's, no, it's Raising Cane, yes, they're looking at putting in Raising Cane, and apparently it's one that creates traffic issues. But it's gonna be right across the street. Right across the street, right across the interior street, town center from the In-N-Out that's already been approved by Hillsborough, so.
They approved them?
They approved it, I think, back in 21. Yeah, but they didn't. Well, that was the one, and I think it's gotten approval, the one on Hillsdale.
That was gonna be horrific.
Well,
I went to there in LA, I can do that.
the other thing that's going on is Streets of Transport is going through a zone change that will allow residential in Streets of Transport.
Well, but if you use the Macy's space, the Macy's split.
Yeah, so they're gonna be converting that, so it should
That's
be
another
interesting.
area, another buildings there too.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be mixed use, so there's still supposed to be a component of retail. We'll see what happens. I'm assuming REI will stay, but maybe not. Well, that's it for our CPO7 announcements. Does Virginia have any CPO1 announcements? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Meeting adjourned.